everyone, and welcome back to a brand new video. So a few of you actually reached out to me and asked me to give my opinion on this topic, and I also watched Erica's Girly World, and she did a video in reaction to a YouTuber who's I think named Alex. Her channel is HRH Collection, and it was a reaction video to her video that was it was a long video. It was just basically like a discussion video, and in one of the topics, or the keynote topics of that discussion video, was that luxury bags are done. And I watched Erica's Girly World's video because I am subscribed to her, and I do like her videos. She's very educated, she's mature, she is not afraid to speak her mind. She really is not afraid to share her opinion, and she does do so in a very well explained manner. And you may not agree with everything she says, and that's fine, but I do appreciate that she gives me a different stance on things than what meets the eye. So I watched her video and I was like, okay, I need to watch this person's video. And I didn't know HRH Collection had a YouTube channel. I mean, I've heard of her because she makes like bag chains and appendages for bags, and like handles and things like that, and people were purchasing stuff from her, and that's how I've heard of her, but I didn't know that she actually had a channel. And then when I looked at her channel, she's got like, I think like 100K subscribers, so she's very well liked, and there's a lot of people who obviously like the content that she's putting out. So I watched this video, and if you haven't, if you want to go and watch the video for yourself, because I do, anytime somebody does a reaction video, I like to watch the video myself so that I'm not getting, like, I can have my own opinion as well. And so, I just clicked it on, and I'm not familiar with her channel. I haven't watched any of other videos, so I don't know of her personality. Sometimes you get to know somebody through videos and you have an idea of what their sense of humor is like. And the first time I started watching it, I found it very difficult to watch. There's a lot of profanity, and not that there's anything wrong. Obviously, a lot of people liked her video, but there's a lot of profanity, and for me, I was like, okay, this is a little bit too much. I couldn't get through it. But I went through it, listened to what she had to say, and she does make some pretty compelling points, and they do reflect discussion topics that I wanted to bring forth on this channel. On my channel, I'm trying to keep up with some of the unboxings, and I feel like I've posted a slew of unboxings so far, but I really do want to post more discussion videos, and a lot of you really do like those. When I look at the YouTube analytics, like, people, their attention span or their retention throughout the video is much better when I do a discussion video, and and I really love the comments that I get because people share their opinions as well, like reading through that. So I really enjoy discussion videos. It's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to do this channel. So when I watched it again, I can understand that there's a level of sarcasm throughout the video. Like, don't take it for face value, because if you take it at face value, you will get offended and you'll be like, okay, what is this? It gave me Mean Girls vibes at the beginning when she called people a dork, or you're tacky, and I was like, okay, that's like very Mean Girl, and I'm not about that. I hate Mean Girls. I mean, I wasn't the most popular girl, or I wasn't popular at all, okay, in school, and it really triggered that fear of Mean Girls, and I was like, no. But I'm an adult now, and I also work with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis, and I'm used to teasing out somebody's lived experience and where they're coming from, okay? So I do try to understand the context before I just take what somebody says at face value. And there's some points she makes which I agree with, but I want to add some things, like, in my perspective. The first thing that she states is that, like, luxury, fashion, and handbags, it's very saturated on social media, and it's not exclusive anymore. And it's not exclusive anymore for certain reasons, and that it's not luxury anymore because it's not exclusive. And luxury houses are also really taking away that exclusivity by gifting influencers handbags, and the quality is not the greatest, the luxury shopping experience is not the greatest, and you know, those things that we can really, you know, agree with, I guess. And she also says that everybody has a handbag, and I know that's exaggeration. I know she's exaggerating. Her delivery of this topic was theatrical, and it's done, I guess, on purpose, because you know, when you want to really get people talking, you have to have a dramatic delivery, right? And it can be somewhat controversial. You want people to start creating videos, and it gets the ball rolling. So you know, the fact that she did it in that manner, and I think her other videos she's like that too, where she jumps on a lot of topics, and then she you know, sort of makes comments in advance, like she has a rebuttal for potential troll comments that she might get. And I think like she must have had a lot of troll comments in the past, so she'll just say like, oh, for all of you, like, don't call me out, you know, you're done, right? Like, she'll call out people. And even though nobody said anything to her, but in advance she'll be like, okay, before you come for me, XYZ, right? So her delivery was quite theatrical. And it's not that, you know, like, we know that not everybody has a luxury handbag, okay? But it seems as though that's the way. So, and then I looked, Erica's Girly World made, you know, her comments as well. So I think, you know, watch the videos first, and then you'll understand what I'm saying. I don't need to reiterate exactly what she said, because then I'll be paraphrasing and I'm not doing her video any justice. So go and watch that. But the thing is first of all, not everybody has it. And I've talked about this in a video I did early on called Basic Luxury, okay? And I really hate when people call iconic pieces or pieces that have done very well for a house basic, right? Like they're staples, right? Staples, right? But they're classic items, but then all of a sudden they're basic because a few too many people have them, or you've seen them too often. And I really dissected that, and I talked about you know, Veblen's theory of the leisure class, right? And the book on the leisure class, and how these luxury goods are positional goods. And, you know, when you have them and you're at, you know, a leisure class, and you're at the you know, the top of the game, and when you have them, it's cool. And then when people who are beneath you in class all of a sudden start acquiring these things, then it's not cool anymore. And then you have to move on to something else to maintain that exclusivity in that class, right? It's, you know, these things are positional goods, and sometimes the goods change depending on what group has acquired them. So if you haven't watched that, that's one of my earlier videos. Please go and watch that. And I enjoyed talking about that. So it seems as though everybody has them. And it could be that production, yes, production of these luxury items, Chanel handbags, had, you know, other handbags from other houses, they've gone up since, you know, the 80s, 90s, absolutely, because there is more consumption. And consumption has changed, right? Based on social media, where, you know, one handbag or that classic handbag is not enough. You want it in different colors. So our consumption patterns have changed. It seems as though on social media everybody has it, but in reality, in my day-to-day life, I don't see people walking around with these handbags. If I go to a certain area, like certain areas of the city, where there is luxury shopping and there's nice restaurants, then it attracts people who have those items there. But in my day-to-day life, I do not see people carrying around a Chanel handbag, like maybe like a handful in like, yeah, I honestly, I don't see anybody. But on social media, there's a lot of people that have it because I follow that content, right? So the algorithm for Google, like if you go and search for, I don't know, like if I need to search for something at like the hardware store, like I'm looking for a paintbrush, okay? And then I put that search word in, and then when I go to other websites, you get banner ads for the very thing that you were looking for. You're like, oh, how did they know, right? And now we're aware that these algorithms are in place, that all the information, like if you look at a photo online for a few too many seconds, that information is recorded. if you click on something, how, like if you played a video based on your location and IP, there's a lot more information than that we give out. And this information is kept for advertising purposes, and this information is sold, right, for profit, like this, you know, traffic generating, like, you know, affiliate links, all that stuff, right? This is all information that's being gathered. If you go to, you know, places or sites that give you cash back for your purchases, why are you getting cash back? It's because your information is being sold. Not like, I'm not talking about your personal information, I'm talking about your purchasing habits and your interests and all that. All that information is being sold, and that information is being sold for marketing purposes, and then people buy that information. So I think a lot of the audience that I have, we understand this, and maybe we need a reminder, but I think we're more aware of this now. So it's not saturated. It's because we saturate ourselves in it. And it's okay to be fed up of something. You could be fed up of something. So HRH Collection could be fed up of something, of handbags, but that doesn't mean other people should be. And it doesn't mean that, you know, if you're canceling them, that doesn't mean that other people who are just, you know, developing an interest towards this or are still interested in that should cancel them as well. Like, you could be fed up of something and it's okay. It reminds me of that video that Tamara did. Tamara's a huge YouTuber. Like, I mean, she's really made a name for herself in fashion, and it's a business for her now, which is, I have no issues with that. She works hard, okay? She did a video a couple years ago, and she talked about luxury items that I'm fed up of. And it triggered a lot of people. People are like, what the hell, right? Like, you know, you're the one who was advertising, you know, these items, and now you're saying you're fed up of them and they're not cool anymore. Like, they understood us saying that they're not cool anymore. But the thing is it's not that they're not cool anymore. It's just she's been so immersed in it, right? Like, she works in the world of fashion. This stuff is like thrown at her left, right, and center. The people that she's working with wear this stuff, and she's sick of it. Like, she wants something different. Like, if we're seeing the same thing all the time, like, we're like, okay, like, I've had enough, I need to move on to something else. But that doesn't mean that other people are sick of it. So I hope that point makes sense. So we saturate ourselves in it. If you search on YouTube and you search for like MS bags, then there's going to be a slew of videos that go to your For You page, people that you're not even subscribed to or you haven't heard of. There's going to be videos on MS bags. Same thing with Chanel, same thing with Dior, same thing with Gucci, same thing with anything. If you search for construction and do-it-yourself videos or recipes, your For You page is going to bring you that content. During the pandemic, during COVID, when we were like, well, I mean, we're still in it, but when we were home, like, everything was closed, we were watching like YouTube. We had YouTube going on in the family room, and we were watching cleaning videos. Right? And then one person had cleaning videos where it was just a camera set and the person is cleaning and there's just music playing and you're just watching them, and it would inspire you to also clean with them. But we had so many of those videos pop up because that one video, and you know, it was just something that we were interested in, watching cleaning hacks and stuff like that. So you saturate yourself in it. It's not that it's saturated in the world, okay? So it may seem as though everybody has a Chanel handbag and that it is, you know, or an Hermes handbag, and now it's tacky. It's tacky to want these luxury handbags. I don't agree with that. Absolutely not. And it gives me mean girl vibes. I'm not saying she's a mean girl, but it gives me mean girl vibes in the sense that there are some people in the world that do not want other people to have these things. And they define their existence or their class based on ownership of luxury goods, handbags, fashion, cars, a big house, right? And they feel elevated, they feel validated by having these things, and they feel good about themselves. They feel that they are, like, you know, one up from everybody else. And as soon as people who are so-called beneath them start to acquire these things, it's not cool anymore. It's tacky. It's new money, right? Like, there's a whole lot of discussion about this on social media too, and I'll do a video on this new money, old money thing, because I think that's just like, it irks me so much. Right? But anyway, so as soon as the non-cool people or the non-high class people then now get this handbag, it's not cool anymore, it's not exclusive anymore, it's not luxury anymore. And I have a problem with that, I really do. And the people that feel this way, and I know, and it's not just with luxury, I see it like, gosh, in our, I'm Punjabi, okay? So, and I have some Punjabi viewers as well. And I don't know, do you guys remember, like, you know, we have our, you know, Indian wear, okay? And there's stuff that you can buy ready-made off the rack. And then there is like, there are boutiques that will tailor these outfits for you, and then they'll embroider everything by hand. And then there were a few women that would have these beautiful clothing items, and you know, it was like it was exclusive because they were different, right? Like nobody else had these, the quality was really good, and everybody was like, wow, like that's such a nice outfit. And then the same look of those outfits started to be produced by, I don't know if there's like specific brands, but like you could buy these outfits and they were like done in runs, like they were done in, you know, multiple pieces, and you can order them and they looked just like those items. And a lot of people were buying them. They were ordering them in from India. They were already stitched, and like people were buying so many of them, right? And then those women that had those outfits were like, oh, like now everybody's kind of looking the same like us. Like we need to switch to something else. And it kept happening that eventually those women that had those outfits before, now they're wearing like rags and they look awful because they cannot stand the fact that everybody else had the same outfits as them. And same with like handbags. If you start to think like that your life is so consumed and that your identity is so consumed by the fact that you have these items and you feel like you're better than other people because you have these items and they make you feel elevated, well, not even that, but I mean, if your identity in life is so consumed by these items and being validated by these items, then you have to do some internal work on what is important to you in your life, right? Then definitely there are some confidence issues there that we need to work on. It's okay to accept that other people have nice things, and everybody's human. When you make some money, you want to buy something. Like there are people that, like I know even, who you know, didn't have like the greatest jobs and have now found a career path or in business and are starting to do well. And when you start to do well, you want to buy nice things. You want to upgrade your car. You may want to upgrade your house. You want to get new furniture. You might start getting like your nails done. You will want nicer clothes, right? It's natural to do that, right? Like because you never got a chance to do this before. There are women who I know, who I chat with on here, who are in their 50s and never bought luxury items for themselves. Like they never bought these things for themselves because they spent their whole life working, building a home, having kids, providing for their kids, and they never bought anything nice for themselves. And now they're in their 50s and they're like, holy crap, like I've never treated myself, like no. And then they buy themselves a beautiful handbag and then they send me a photo. They share it with me. They're like, oh, I watched your video and I really like this bag that you showed, and I liked your review on it and I went and bought it. There's a number of you who have done that, and I'm like, wow, like that's amazing, like that's great. Are you gonna call them tacky? Like, are they like not cool anymore? No, I don't think so. Like they deserve it. They deserve to give themselves something nice. Just because you're fed up of something and you've immersed yourself in this world of luxury and you're fed up, and it's okay to be fed up, like that's human nature, and I'll talk about why we get fed up. But that doesn't mean it's canceled for everybody else, right? Like there's different cohorts, right? That are like there's people in different life stages that will encounter an interest at a different point of their life, and you may not be interested in anymore. But let them have it. Like, don't cancel it altogether. Don't say that you're not cool anymore. You're a dork. Like, that's, even if you mean it as a joke, I don't think it's rude. Like, don't say that. Please don't call people dorks. Please don't call people tacky, right? Like, it's awful. Like, please don't do that. We don't want a mean girl vibe here, right? Like, everybody gets a seat at the table. We should all be able to encourage each other. So why do we get fed up of stuff? So it's all, you know, due to like brain chemistry. Okay, I won't go into like insane, like nitty gritty science details, but it's, you know, the dopamine hit, right? So you have a stimulus. It could be shopping for makeup. It could be shopping for a new handbag. It could be shopping for clothing. It could be going to a restaurant to have a nice meal. It could be going on vacation. It could be eating a chocolate chip cookie, right? So all of these things, they're stimulus to our brain, and we get a surge of dopamine, and it makes us feel happy. Eventually, if you keep repeating that stimulus, the effect on the brain is dampened and you don't get that surge of happiness as much anymore. So then you have to bump up that stimulus in order to get the same effect. That's how addictions form. And it becomes a disorder of, you know, neurotransmitters. And so with that, you don't even have to buy anything to be sick of it, right? Like, you could be watching videos on YouTube. You could be going on Pinterest. You could be watching videos on TikTok, on Instagram Reels. You could be just Googling images, right? And when you see this over and over and over again, you get fed up of it and you want something different. It's like, I came to this realization when I was getting married, and I got married while I was in school. So it's, I don't know how we planned that wedding, but it happened. And at the time when I was getting married, you had these huge blockbuster productions in Indian weddings, like a lot of money spent. You have like over like 500 people, 1,000 people. My wedding had a crazy amount of people. And people had like neatly curated like e-shoots and next day edits and, you know, napkins with their initials on it and decor that looks like a musical production. And not saying that I didn't have a nice wedding. I did, but I didn't do all that like to that extent as what other people did. And I remember watching these next day edits on YouTube constantly, and you know, also seeing like the fashion, like going on Pinterest and looking up like outfits. And I got like, eventually just got so old for me that I was like, I'm fed up of this already. Like I don't like this anymore. And it's because of that repeated stimulus. It doesn't wow you anymore. And she also made this, Alex made this point as well about like the elaborate proposals and like the larger than life sort of announcements that people do for milestones in their life. And it's just not doing it anymore. Like, even though you yourself haven't even been through that, but because you've been watching that, it just doesn't hit the same anymore. It doesn't have the wow factor anymore. So it's not as special anymore. But that doesn't mean, and just because like we get fed up of it because we've overstimulated our brain, doesn't mean that other people are going to be fed up of it. Erica's girl, she talked about like designer jeans. Like, I never owned designer jeans, so I wouldn't know. I wasn't the cool girl. And so I wouldn't know. So that I don't relate to that. But I guess people were into designer jeans, and then like now it's like you can get the same look. There's a lot more resources now. You can get beautiful jeans at like Zara, at like other fast fashion brands, and you look amazing. But I mean, I don't relate to the designer jeans thing. Erica's Girly World brought up the whole thing about like the media changes of like YouTube, right? So a lot of people in the cohort, I think, and I'm going to call ourselves like the cohort, because the majority of my channel, I can see the age ranges. I am starting to get a younger audience now that, you know, are like above 17 to 25. And I'm mindful of that because I also want to deliver content that's relevant to them and doesn't give the younger people a skewed perception of what reality is. So I'm going to be a little bit more mindful of the content that I push out because I'm getting a younger audience now. But she talked about like we were all watching makeup tutorials. So that's what she says, right? Like beauty hauls, and there were a lot of beauty gurus, and that the age of beauty gurus is like done, right? Like nobody watches those anymore. And perhaps, I mean, I know I don't watch those anymore. Maybe the people that watch luxury videos, we are a cohort that has moved on from those videos of beauty hauls, Sephora hauls, like people buying like millions of eyeshadow palettes. Like we're sick of that. Like we know what we like and we've moved on, and now we're gone to a different hobby or something that gives us a different form of fun, right? So I think those content creators for beauty hauls, they might be a different generation, but they exist. That content still exists on YouTube, not only on YouTube, but on different social media platforms that have now become extremely popular, more so popular than YouTube. And I'm talking about TikTok and Instagram Reels. These are shorter videos, and it's also conditioned that next cohort to have a shorter attention span because they're able to get the same content or the same information that you would watch and sit through a 20-minute video in like a 1 to 2 minute video. So the media has changed, but that content, there are people in the last like 2-3 years who have exploded to over 100,000 followers just on doing short beauty tutorials and advertising like makeup products. It still exists. It's just the cohort that watches that has changed. So the generation is like, you know, we're getting older, right? We're getting older. There's people who are now emerging into the space, and then the 10-year-olds that we see now in the next 5-6 years, they're going to be interested in that stuff, right? So it just depends on what we seek in terms of content, and in so doing, that content also seeks us based on these algorithms that are in place in social media. When it comes to influencers getting gifted bags and that being tacky, I think now, because of the awareness that we have on how influencing works, we understand that this is all advertising. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. Because these people were influencers and we expected them to remain, you know, the friend that we had, you know, that was just like us, right? And we were just sharing items with each other and chatting. But, you know, because they've gained such a huge following, they're harnessing the power of that following to make money and have a business for themselves, and they've gone full time, and that's okay. It's okay to make money like that because it's a lot of work. Like, I mean, me even doing videos like this takes time to edit, and I appreciate the time that they put in because like some of their content is like next level and I can't even edit like that. I don't know how they do it. They probably hire people, so there's costs involved. It's become a business. So I recognize that, and I see them as being the new version of like I guess a magazine, right? Like before, you know, I mean, this is before my time even, but like, you know, you used to have fashion magazines that people would look through to see what's new. You know, that's how people got their information. But now that's too slow, right? So social media is faster. It's getting the content out there. It is in a way encouraging luxury to be more fast fashion, and that I also have a problem with. It's not sustainable for luxury to be fast fashion, where people are buying the next it bag. And I'll call myself out on it too. I mean, lately I also have been purchasing like the next it item, but I also recognize that that's not sustainable. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, realistically, you can only buy so many like items, right? Like, you need space. What are you gonna do collecting like 100 handbags? Where like, even if you had the space and you can afford to buy and keep them, mentally to keep up with that and think of like, and remember what you have, like that's not sustainable. Like there are people on like that are billionaires that have like rooms full of Birkins, like Jamie Chua for an example, right? Has like a room full of like Hermes Birkins and Kellys, and I don't know how she remembers what she has, or I don't know how she physically can rotate all of them, but you know, she has them. And there's like, you know, Lindy, who makes the bag charms. She buys like literally every Chanel handbag that comes out in pink. And I'm like, oh, Lindy, like, you know, the last couple of seasons, like it must have been really expensive for you because you keep buying, like you need all the pink handbags. That's her thing, right? But the thing is like eventually, like you can only buy so much, right? And so, yeah, you might have a period of like a stretch of like couple of years where you're like buying a lot of things, and then eventually you're like, okay, I'm happy with what I have and I'm just gonna chill out, right? And that's fine for you, but then don't cancel the person who may be in that period of their life where they're buying a bunch of things. So I do see young girls who have an interest, they want like the next, like, you know, Anastasia or whatever influencer's makeup palette. And that's okay because they don't have those items, right? Like they're getting into it, versus people who have like a closet full of makeup that they haven't used. It's probably rotting right now because you didn't use it during the pandemic. But anyway, like the point I'm saying is that luxury is not this topic of like fashion is just fun. Like it's not something that you should really immerse your identity with. Like that's not something that defines you. And I know people, I know women, some men too, right? Like they feel superior to others because they have a designer handbag. And it's okay to feel like good about yourself, like it makes you feel elevated, but like it shouldn't come to a point where you put other people down in relation to you just because they don't have something, and then all of a sudden it upsets you when they have these items. I hope I'm making sense. This is just kind of like a discussion video. So yeah, so it's not, I wouldn't say like luxury handbags are not canceled. They may be canceled for you in your point of your life, but don't cancel them for other people. Like this is going to still remain. People are still going to develop an interest in it, and they're gonna have fun with it. Let people have fun with it. But I do think this topic is really interesting, and I'm glad that people are, you know, chatting about it. They're getting the ball rolling. And we need to really discuss like what is the true meaning of luxury. Luxury, you know, the true meaning of luxury is gonna morph into different things depending on the life stage you're in and depending on your experience, right? To me, luxury is being able to do what you want when you want, okay? That is true luxury. That is my definition of luxury. To be able to do what you want when you want. You can wake up when you want. You can spend your time how you want. Nobody can direct you as to, you know, how to spend your time. You can plan your day how you want to. You can, if you want to, you know, get up and go for a walk at like 10 a.m. in like the park and spend your day like that, and then come back, have a coffee, and then go do some work. That's luxury. Like you have complete control over your schedule and your time. That is luxury to me. Time is luxurious. Time is finite. We don't have endless time on this earth. And you know, the perspective changes as you get older, and as you buy things, right? And when you go through things in your life that really make you think about what is the most important, right? Life is precious, health is precious, and I do not take those things for granted. So all those things, like that's luxury to me, okay? It's luxury to again, be able to do what you want when you want. But in order to get to that point, you need money. Like you need to earn something. You need to earn money or have somebody subsidize you so you can, you know, live a comfortable life, right? Like, let's face it, we live in a world where you need money to do things and to survive and eat and have shelter and all that, right? So you need that. And so to get to that point, you need to kind of like go through this sort of migration, okay? But it's okay to enjoy luxury items for fun. And you know, but just don't let it define your life, right? This isn't something that makes you better than somebody else. I love, you know, handbags. I love luxury clothing. I love that, all that stuff, because I like to have fun with it. I like to wear it. I like to dress up. There are times where I don't want to dress up, right? And that's okay too. So I really like the fact that this topic has been sparked, and I've wanted to do a video on this sort of subject from time to time as kind of like a, let's have a little bit of a reality check, right? Like let's kind of, you know, chill for a minute and just kind of get some perspective, and then we can move on and talk about all the pretty things that are out for the next season and have fun with it. Luxury shopping too, you know, if you buy like a lot of things, it's not sustainable, first of all, right? Like as much as like, you know, first of all, like, and I address this, you only have so much closet space. And you only have so much money. So you only have so much space for stuff, you only have so much money to spend. And even if money and space wasn't an issue, your mental capacity to keep track of all that stuff is, I mean, I don't know, it really depends. But I think like, I don't desire to have like a room full of luxury handbags, because I would go crazy. And sometimes you get to a point where you have a bunch of items and then you start to prune, right? Because it's like being a child, right? Like you given a toy and you play with it, and then as soon as you see the next toy, you're like, oh, like ditch that toy, move on to something else. And that might be an extreme example, but you know, eventually your collection may become very redundant, where you might have like multiple white handbags and multiple pink handbags, and that's okay to have multiple colors, but you start to prefer one or two over the other two, right? So then you start reaching for those, and the other two are just sitting there collecting dust. And you know, you may come to a point where you might want to sell some of these items or get rid of them or maybe give them away. And you start pruning your collection so that you always have something that you love, and that's totally okay. That doesn't make you a reseller necessarily, but you know, it's okay to sell some of these things on to prune your collection, because it's a learning experience, right? Like as you buy things, as you use things, sometimes you realize, this style doesn't really work for me. I don't really reach for it. And it's just sitting there. I'd rather put that money towards something that I do love. And so the pruning is okay. You start to, you know, you can only learn to like something once you actually own it and use it. And luckily these things are items that you can sell, and you can, you know, get back quite a bit of money for it if you choose wisely. Another thing that I would address is the luxury experience, and one of the points that she made in her video is quite valid. And even I've addressed this before too, that the luxury experience is not the same. And then, you know, with the pandemic, that kind of changed things too, where now you're kind of, there's stress with shopping too, like especially when things are deemed exclusive, or and certain items are like seasonal and they're limited, and you kind of have to like stock the store and you really like request things and you know, hunt for items. I don't like the stress of that. That takes the luxury experience away from me. It's just like how I don't want to stand in line for like luxury shopping, because again, that's a waste of my time, and my time is valuable. I don't want to wait in line. Like it takes away the experience. If it was something necessary, like for groceries, like when, you know, everything, we were in lockdown and we had to stand in line because of the capacity, that's a different story. But I don't want to stand in line this first step. That's a waste of my time. Takes away the luxury experience. You know, and other exclusive items where you like are almost having to like pester and kiss up for certain things. Like I don't want to do that. That's not luxury to me. So that's a fair, you know, point that's being made. Also, you know, when you went into a store, it was relaxed, right? Like, you go to these nice boutiques and you're offered like a coffee, right? Or like, you know, a snack or something, but at least coffee, right? Like, I don't drink, but like you would be offered like champagne or something like that. Not all boutiques, but we used to have that before, and you don't get that anymore. And then the time and the attention in packaging and wrapping and, you know, sitting and enjoying that shopping experience. When you're shopping often, it becomes more transactional. Like, okay, like, here's the money, I'm taking my item, okay, let's go. You're not enjoying that experience that was supposed to be part of buying this piece. I really wish that they made coffee, like, at least to go, right? Like, if you can't, because we were wearing masks, you couldn't have any of that stuff. But now, like, I mean, even if we were, like, we could have got like a little doggy bag of like a, you know, a snack or like a coffee, like, here's something for the road. So definitely the experience is not the same, but it is what you make of it. If you're going to stress about getting something, the Hermes Birkin or Quota bag, if you're going to stress about it, then that's not luxury, right? And I've always said this before, for certain hard to get items, I love it when if it's meant for you, it's going to come for you, like it's luck. And if you have to hunt for it, yeah, a little hunting's okay, that's okay, right? A little hunting's okay. But if you're obsessing over it and you're getting upset over it, like, that's not luxury. Then we need to understand, like, what are you getting from having these items? Obviously then it's not for fun, it's filling a void that perhaps you're not aware of. You know what I find luxurious about luxury handbags is not the acquisition or the collection of them, because you buy it, you put it away, right? And it's done. What I find luxurious is using them and enjoying them and handling them and putting my items in them and wearing them. And, you know, these last, like, you know, 2 years have been a bit different because we haven't really, I mean, life's sort of getting back to normal where I live, but I mean, it wasn't, right? It wasn't the case. So when you're using these items, that's when you really get the full luxury of it all, right? The luxury experience of it all. And, you know, and then you realize when you're actually using your items that you don't need so many, right? You start accumulating stuff, and I've experienced that. Like, you start buying stuff when you're not using them. But then when you actually start using them, you're like, wow, like, I don't really actually need anything else. Because, like, I love using this particular piece so much that I don't need it in different colors, right? But, you know, I saw this example. Like, I remember I was walking and I saw this woman. It was like raining, okay? She had like a parka on, and she had a lambskin, black lambskin, with ruthenium hardware Chanel boy bag. And it was in the new medium size, is the larger size. Not the big one that came out before. It's the size, the big one is no longer in production, but there's the large size, and then there's a medium, and then there's like a mini size, which is really small. She just had a slung around her shoulder, casually walking. It's raining. It's a lambskin bag, and it looked a little bit like it was smushed a little bit, but it looked so nice on her. And it's so funny because, like, in the community, people are like, not like, the boy bags are still in production, but they're not as like hot as they were for a couple of years. I still have mine. I still love it. I don't wear it as much because I have so other stuff in rotation. But it just looks, and I looked at it and I'm like, wow, like, it looks so amazing on her. Like, I fell in love with it again. And the fact that she's using it and really like living with the bag, you know, that was beautiful in a way and luxurious in a way, because that's what it meant. That's what it's meant for. And I talked about this in my Hermes video about, you know, the handbag being like a trophy bag almost, but it's meant to be a bag that you use, and you know, it's big, right? Even the 25 is not a small bag. It's pretty big, you know, for a bag. But you know, in a larger size, like in a 30 or a 35, like it's meant to be toted like around, like in putting all your stuff in there, and just like go from car to work and like day-to-day sort of errands. Like that's what it's meant for. It's not supposed to be like a special occasion bag, right? Like it's supposed to be used. So even with like, you know, when you have so many, then you're not using them as much. But to me, that is luxury, like using the handbag. Like that's what it's designed for, right? I know some people collect, I collect them. And I've kind of gotten over that point at the beginning where I would be so precious with it and like not wanting to, I still take care of my stuff, right? But like not wanting it to get scratched or dirty or not overstretching it and all that. And I think, you know, I've come to a realization, like what's the point? Like it's different, like if you're trying to sell it, like if you're preserving it to sell and you want to keep it as new as possible, but if you're using them and you're not selling them, then like just use the bag, right? Like it's meant to be used. So that doesn't mean that you trash it, but you use it, right? And enjoy it. So I wanted to take a photo of that woman, but that would be crazy. That would be, I mean, not of her, but of her like handbag, but that would be creepy, right? Like I wouldn't go up to her and be like, can I take a picture right now? But it was just like so nice to see. And like I see other people who have like 1 or 2 handbags and they use them, and the bag just breathes life. Like it does so well, it performs so well because they're using it. Whereas if it's just sitting on the shelf, not really serving any purpose, then, you know, aside from it being like an art piece, if you want to call it that, and you're looking at it, like then there's really no point. Then it's pointless to have so many. Those are my thoughts. I hope that you know, I didn't have a script, and you know, I thought sometimes I like to like, I want to make points, but I was thinking about this. I'm like, no, I need to just get it out there and just talk. I'd like to know what you guys think about this, and let me know your thoughts. I'd really be interested to know. And let's get the ball rolling. I hope that other people who have watched, and if you guys make videos, please let me know if you like to film a discussion on this, and let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions. I will see you in my next video.